Good afternoon, everyone. Jacob Melton here in the Southern Michigan Weather Center. And we got some more winter weather on the way that we need to talk about. And we'll also discuss what we had happen with the last system. That although for the most part has moved out, we are still dealing with some leftover effects from it this afternoon. First things first, we're going to take a look at the 24-hour snowfall accumulation analysis. And this is through 7 o'clock this morning. Now what that means is that only includes the primary system snow that's well off to our east now. And it does not include the leftover lake effect snows that we have ongoing across the area this afternoon. Now at first glance, most of us ended up on the low end of our forecast, which we will discuss momentarily. But we had some exceptions happen as we had some dry air, a little bit more dry air than anticipated with this system due to some mesoscale factors that our computer guidance didn't really pick up on. Again, we will discuss that momentarily, but most of us ended up in the 4 to 8 inch range, with the exception of the Grand Rapids area and areas south of I-94, which while some of that was forecasted, other portions weren't. Let's now compare our observed totals from this morning, to our final call snowfall potential forecast, which we issued yesterday morning just before the snow started. And as you can see, in our forecast, we had most of the area in the 4 to 8 inch range. And most of us verified on the low end of that, with the exception of the Grand Rapids area and some of our areas south of I-94, like Coldwater, Hillsdale, and areas like that. We did end up on even Jackson somewhat. We kind of went overboard a little bit with that in this forecast, but that was again the dry air that came in that we weren't particularly expecting based on what guidance had that morning. The one area we did well with the lower totals was some of our far southeast lower Michigan areas like Adrian, Monroe, where we had 2 to 4 inches. We did fairly well on it. We were anticipating sleet and freezing rain to mix in down there. And that's what we were anticipating, the lower totals. Another area we missed for the most part was our last second 8 to 12 inch zone that we implemented in our coverage area mainly for the thumb region, as we were expecting enhancement of the snowfall from Lake Huron. That was not as widespread as we anticipated, but in portions of Sanilac County, we have had totals reported in the 9 to 10 inch range, including 10.5 inches of snow reported in the Lexington area there in Sanilac County. So overall, we didn't do too awfully bad, with most of us in the lower end of the 4 to 8 inch range, with some isolated higher amounts like 6, 7, and even up towards 8 inches. But we did miss a few of our spots, including Grand Rapids and some areas south of I-94 due to the unanticipated dry air. And we did overdo the 8 to 12 inch a little bit, although we had some verification in portions of Sanilac County. Anyways, we're now going to move on to our next system, which we are anticipating Friday night into Saturday and even into parts of Sunday as well. So I am going to move this. This is our morning run of the NAM 3 kilometer model, excuse me, which is the higher resolution version of the North American model. It did an overall decent job with our previous system, so we're going to go ahead and use it again. So starting off Friday morning, well, first I should mention that the lake effect that we have ongoing this afternoon, that should come to an end this evening. So, and once that comes to an end, we do expect a little bit of the lull in precipitation for the daytime hours of Friday. Starting here at 7 a.m., not too much going on. As we go through the day, at least through the afternoon hours, not too much going on. It'll be relatively quiet for the most part. As we head towards Friday evening, and I will stop it at 10 o'clock here, you can see the snow begins to move back into the region. And that will continue Friday night. And that is when we're expecting the bulk of the snow area-wide, and I will discuss that more in a moment. But area-wide, Friday night is when the bulk of the snow will fall. Continuing into Saturday morning, the snow continues. And as we head towards later on Saturday morning, and I'm going to stop it here at 10 o'clock, you can see we do have some potential for mixed precipitation, mainly to the near and south of the I-96 corridor. Now that will cut in the Now, if this does transpire as this particular model is showing, that will cut in the snow accumulation somewhat, which we will discuss those accumulation potential totals momentarily. But snow to the north of I-96 and some potential for mixed precipitation south of I-96. Continuing on into Saturday afternoon, that will continue on, and south of I-96 we might see a lull in the precipitation, probably just down to potentially even some drizzle at that point. And that will continue into Saturday evening before this round of precipitation begins to move out. Now, one other thing I'm going to look at before we get to snow totals is temperatures. And let's keep going. So we'll start here at 7 o'clock on Friday. That is when the snow is starting to move in, and most of us are below freezing. And that will be the case through Friday night. We should remain well below freezing. Now, as we head towards later on Saturday, and I will stop it here at 1 o'clock, we are beginning to warm up somewhat, which is why the mixing that we've talked about south of I-96 will be possible. Now, one good thing is, compared to the last system, is that we will be a little bit more on the warmer side, with areas, especially near and south of I-94, at or even a little bit above freezing. Now, that will be a good thing in terms of any icing potential with the wintry mix that may take place. We're not too super worried about significant icing, but as you know, it don't take much ice to cause some slippery roadways. So that is something I still want you to be aware of, but I am currently not expecting any icing that would cause power outages or major travel issues, nothing like that. But just be aware of the potential, well, really area-wide, just be aware for some travel issues, but even down south where you might not see as much snow, a little bit of ice might soak things up as well. And that will be the trend continuing through the afternoon hours, at least according to the NAM 3-kilometer model, that areas south of I-96 could very well warm up above freezing for a period of time Saturday afternoon into the evening. Now we're going to go ahead and take a look at our potential snowfall totals for our Friday night and the Saturday night system. And as we talked about, areas north of I-96, you should remain snow for the most part. And that is where we put our 4 to 8 inch contour in our forecast here. And now most of us, just because you see 4 to 8 inches, don't automatically assume you're going to see 8 inches. Most of us will be in the 4 to 6 inch range. When it comes to widespread snow totals, your 7 and 8 inches will probably be in more isolated areas. And as we talked about down south of I-96, there is potential for mixed precipitation, which may cut down snow totals a little bit, and that is where we have the 2 to 4 inch contour here. So mainly south of Lansing, so areas like Kalamazoo, Jackson, Detroit, Hillsdale, Monroe, areas like that. You will probably see a little bit less snow as of right now for this forecast update. We are monitoring trends, and minor shifts in the storm track and totals remain possible. So, for example, if it backs off on the mixed precipitation, we might have to bring down the 4 to 8 inch contour a little bit more to the south. Or if it shifts a little bit north, vice versa. So, again, totals overall will be similar in nature to what we had with this last system. So, and now let's talk impacts. We don't expect anything major in terms of power outages or anything like that. It will mainly be travel issues. And actually, we're going to go back to the computer model and show one more thing before I sign off here. And that is going to be wind gusts. So Friday evening, gusts in the 15, 25 mile per hour range. But as we head into Friday night, you can see our wind gusts begin to pick up. With the NAM model here showing wind gusts in the 30, 35 mile per hour range at 11 o'clock. And that will be the general theme heading into Saturday as well. Is gusts in the 25 to 35 mile per hour range. And they will begin to quiet down somewhat heading into Saturday afternoon. Now with the snow in place Friday night into Saturday morning, that could cause some blowing snow and reduced visibility concerns. So just another thing to be aware of with our snow moving in Friday night into Saturday. Let's go to the lower resolution NAM, the 12 kilometer NAM. And I want to show this as far as a Sunday snow potential. So it quiets down Saturday night for a time. But we do expect another round of snow to potentially move in heading into Sunday as well. Now, it's a little soon yet to focus on snow totals for Sunday yet, but we will have further updates on that, not only here, but on our social media platforms as we get closer. So just keep an eye on that. And just be aware that we might see a little bit more snow on Sunday as well. This is Jacob Melton here in the Southern Michigan Weather Center, wishing you a great Thursday afternoon. Be sure to follow us and subscribe not only here on YouTube, but follow us on our social media platforms as well. Again, this is Jacob Melton here in the Southern Michigan Weather Center, wishing you a great Thursday afternoon.